supplements, and a knowledgeable staff. Hopkinton Drug, believing food, exercise, and community, along with an integrative approach to medicine, can help you achieve your wellness goals.
This
All right, good evening. My name is Amy Rudder-Bush, and this is the Select Board meeting for November 1st, 2022. I call the meeting to order. This meeting of the Hopkins Select Board is being held in person and remotely using the video conference platform Zoom. Some members may be participating remotely today, which probably Irfan Nazril will be participating remotely, but he has not joined yet. And Mary Jo may be participating remotely, we're not sure because she's not here yet. But all other members are present in the room at Town Hall 215-216 in person. And at this time, I will ensure that I can hear anyone who is participating remotely, and no one is remote yet. Okay, so there's no one to hear. The public has the option of attending in person here at Town Hall or via Zoom using the link posted in this meeting's agenda. This meeting is being recorded. All votes will be taken by roll call vote. And our first item on the agenda is to move into executive session. So I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to consider strategy with respect to collective bargaining relative to DPW, police, fire, and library unions, and non-union staff, the town manager and police chief, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the board. Reason 2, to approve the executive session minutes from last time, October 11th, 2022, to allow Norman Khumalo and Elaine Lazarus to participate in the executive session, and to reconvene an open session at the conclusion of executive session.
So moved.
Okay, I'm going to need a second. And a roll call vote.
Mayor Kramer, yes.
Scheidemann, yes.
Amy Rudder-Bush, yes. Okay, so we will be back shortly. I think when you're ready, HCAM? Ready. Okay, good evening. This is the select board meeting for November 1st, 2022, and we have returned from executive session and are reconvening an open session. So I call the meeting to order, and our first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and next item on the agenda is public forum. Each person will have up to 2 minutes to speak at public forum, and we'll go first to people, but before beginning, please state your name and address for the record. And we'll start with people in the room first, and then we'll go to people on Zoom who may wish to speak. So is there anyone in the room that would like to speak at public comment? Okay. Ben, is there anyone on Zoom? There's none. Okay. So that is done. Okay, so the next on the agenda is our consent agenda. The board will consider the following consent agenda: approving the minutes of October 11th and October 18th, 2022, accepting a gift of $3,000 from the Hopkinton Public Library Foundation to the Hopkinton Public Library for the Library of Things, to accept a gift of $200 from the Hopkinton Women's Club to the Public Library for books pertaining to women and abuse, to approve a marathon fund request for, let's see, it's a reallocation of $1,633, which was previously granted to the Hopkinton Center for the Arts on May 17th, 2022. And the request is to reallocate $940 from chairs and $693 from tables towards the remaining payment of the trash bins. Okay. And number 3, assignment of police detail officers for the state election 2022. The board will consider authorizing the chief of police to assign detail officers as follows. 1 with rotating relief inside the polling location from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. with escort back to Town Hall. 1 in the school parking lot from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 1 in the school parking lot from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And no officers are to be assigned to early voting. Okay, does anyone want to pull any consent agenda items out? Or would you like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move the consent agenda.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained?
No, but just a little thank you for the gifts.
Yes.
Through the chair, I just wanted to congratulate Molly McGaffigan, a former member of our police department, who has just completed her training as the state police. So she is now a trooper.
That's pretty
Wish her well. We miss her, but we wish her well.
indeed.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the select board will consider confirming the town manager's appointment of new employees. So, should we take them one at a time then?
Through the chair, with your permission, yes, if we could take them one at a time, and then I'll request a motion after we go through all the 5.
Okay,
And after that, if the board is affirming the town manager's appointment, I'm respectfully requesting a group picture.
oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Nice.
Okay, so we'll meet them one at a time, and then at the end, we can do one motion and a group photo. That sounds great. So to begin, we have Akil Reed for custodian and facilities.
Okay.
Okay, welcome. And then, Norma, would you like to start, or we'll have facilities start?
Yes, please. Akil, welcome. Thank you. I'm respectfully requesting the board affirm the appointment of Akil Reed as a custodian in the facilities department. I am very excited to report that Akil represents a very unique onboarding process joining our team. He has been working with us on a temporary basis for over 1.5 years. We are poaching him from an agency. He is wise. He has proved over the years to be a skilled maintenance technician. He understands the inner workings of the building. You can speak to Akil about AC systems, about windows. He's very familiar with all elements of a building. He's hardworking, very thorough, and most importantly, two things stand out. You get the job done, and you are excellent
Thank you.
in customer service.
Thank you.
He's joining us, if he's affirmed by the board, after having worked for Tenet Development Corporation for 9 years, Inner City Construction for 5 years, and Express Employment Professionals, who are losing you most likely to Hopkinton.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. It's very nice to meet you, and we're really pleased to have you on board. I do think having someone work temporarily for the town and getting to know them is really one of the best ways to find good employees. I think that's excellent. Dave, did you want to say anything? Or-
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us tonight. Through the board, I just want to thank HR department with the assistant. Thank Akil for sticking around.
Well, thank you.
And as Norman mentioned, he's just excellent customer service. Just being able to count on Akil, even on a temporary basis. He'd stay late, he'd come in early, he'd come in after hours, requested, worked overtime, and has the skills to, what we're really striving here for is always efficiencies. Our in-house staff are doing more and more work that we used to pay vendors for, from construction to demolition to creating new offices in the basement. So just thinking, I'm excited. I know Matt Reed, the facilities manager here, is excited as well to start training Akil on some other tasks that, we don't have temporary staff to, but full-time he's gonna be sorry he started. No, I'm just excited to have him on full-time now.
Do any other board members have questions or comments?
No, just want to thank you for joining our town and for all the service that you have. Great to have you. Good luck.
Thank you.
We see each other all the time. And I can attest to the fact that he does very good work, no complaints, and he's extremely personable and nice to the personnel. And I appreciate that. I almost see you now on a daily basis, so welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say that I also welcome you aboard. It's really great to hear about your work ethic and also your customer service facing approach. That's always appreciated, especially in town buildings. So we welcome you, and sorry for your last employer, and yay for us.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. We'll move to the next person, and then at the end, we'll do one motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Lombardi.
So next we have Alfonso Lombardi III, heavy equipment operator for the DPW.
I'm sure Mike is very thrilled. Mike, our highway manager, is very thrilled about the timing of the next two hires. We're just about to turn into the winter season, and he really needs people on the machines. Mr. Lombardi is joining us after having worked for Consumer Auto Parts, McKesson Medical Surgical in Northborough, Max Moving and Storage, and most recently was stealing you from the city of Framingham.
Yes.
It's always good when you can find employees from cities who are willing to come and work for towns. When we spoke with individuals who have worked with you before, they told us about your exceptional skills, especially your ability to learn very quickly, that you are a troubleshooter, problem solver, you work very hard, you always exhibit and demonstrate a can-do attitude, you're great with customers, and you know how to listen. You have always been a positive influence on your co-workers. And so with that, I respectfully request that the board affirm your appointment as a heavy equipment operator in the highway department.
Thank you.
Well, welcome, and thank you very much for considering working for us after Framingham. We appreciate it. I looked through the resume. I don't think I have any other questions in particular. Does anyone have?
John, did you want to say
Did you
anything?
want to say anything?
Well, first, I'd like to thank the town manager for his consideration of our recommendation of Mr. Lombardi, and for the HR department for their help with the entire procurement process. Al is a resident of Hopkinton, so he will be very close for us in rapid response for storms and emergencies. He has an associate's degree in computer science. He had, as Norman said, he's got very good references, and he's got all the required licenses, so he can hit the ground running for us should the select board affirm his appointment.
Great, thank you. All right, do any other members have questions or comments?
I don't have any questions, but I'm glad to have you working for us here at home, and we appreciate that your willingness to apply and be part of the team here. It's really good news.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to thank you and welcome the employee and all the good work that you have done. And certainly you have a very impressive background, so thank you for bringing that over here and bring your friends too.
Thank you.
I just wish one thing for you, that the snow doesn't fly too soon.
I ain't worried about no snow. I'll take care of it.
I'll add to Shadil's point, we currently have 4 openings for heavy equipment operators, and so Al and our other candidate this evening satisfied 2 of those 4 openings. 2 are due to promotions, so you saw those gentlemen here a couple weeks back, and there was 1 retirement and 1 resignation, so we've still got 2 spots to fill, but we're on our way.
Okay, getting closer. Not quite winter yet.
So they satisfied an arduous interview process. We had 11 applications, 7 were selected for first round interviews, and 2 withdrew before interviews were conducted, which does happen in this market. You have to move quickly and expeditiously, and 3 were moved forward to second round. We almost had a 3rd candidate, but due to personal reasons, he had to withdraw from the process, so that was our
Getting there,
process.
Getting there. Thank you for all the good work and effort.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so don't go
Thank you all very
Yes.
Welcome and congratulations.
Move on.
Don't leave yet, Mr. Lombardi.
Okay, next we have
Proctor.
Stephen Proctor, heavy equipment operator.
Some of you may be familiar with the last name Proctor. It's a name that is on our
Street name
employees
here.
list. Yes. Yeah. Steve, welcome. Clearly, we are very excited that you have decided to join our DPW crews. What we heard from your references include the following: that growing up, you always wanted to be around machinery and equipment, and consistently you were working out in the field. So when John heard that, he really got excited. That you have natural instincts and abilities with heavy equipment operation. You are described as very smart and always putting safety first, the safety of others and then you. You have also worked in construction, and we believe that that experience will come in handy as a heavy equipment operator here in Hopkinton. You've worked for J.F. Evan, Proctor & Sons, High Acres Associates, and we've encouraged you to join us from the town of Hudson. So with that, I request the board to ratify the town manager's appointment of Mr. Proctor.
Okay, well, welcome, and we read through your resume, and everything looks good to me. I don't have any questions or concerns. And John, do you have anything you would like to add?
Chair, again, I'd like to thank Stephen for his interest in working for us. He is also a resident. He does not live on the street that's named Proctor, but he does live in town. So he'll also be very responsive to emergencies and storms, so we're thankful for that. As Norman said, he does come to us from the town of Hudson, and he has all the required licenses and can hit the ground running, can help out and be a great contributing factor right away.
Excellent.
So I remember Mr. Proctor when he was a little Cub Scout running around. So I'm actually truly delighted to see you here and having you working for the town that you grew up in. It's really a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Great to have you joining from our own town, so especially excited about that, and thank you for all the good work, great background, and thank you for choosing our town. And again, we have 2 more, so bring your, spread the word in Hudson as well.
Sure.
I was going to say, welcome to the family of Hopkinton. You're one of them.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and stick around, we'll do a picture at the end.
Congratulations.
Okay, and then next, we have,
Mary Zainab.
amazing, okay. Administrative Assistant for HR and the Town Clerk's Office, okay.
By way of introduction, 2 things need to be said. Hopkinton is always looking for ways to achieve efficiencies. I think this position that supports 2 departments is an example of that. It supports the Human Resources Office as well as the Town Clerk's Office. Secondly, this is also a position that was recently funded at town meeting, so we're very grateful to the community for its support, helping us get to this point. It's a unique role in the sense that we are supporting 2 departments, HR and Town Clerk's offices. Both departments are really heavy and emphasize ethics. Your position requires handling details, each varying in substance, content, and area of focus. It requires one to approach the workload with flexibility. It also requires confidentiality, tact, and discretion in a flexible, collaborative, and cooperative work environment. Having laid out the context, here's why you are here. The references told us that, especially when you worked for ethics and compliance associations, you were the face and the voice of the organization as it grew. And clearly you'll see and learn very quickly that the Town Clerk's Office and the Human Resources Office are very busy and growing departments. You were described as incredibly smart, someone who can juggle shifting responsibilities and priorities, and thus why we felt you were the suitable candidate, the most suitable candidate to support 2 different departments. That you are a problem solver who is always looking for opportunities to go above and beyond. You are adept at working with a demanding customer base. I can assure you the expectations in Hopkinton are very high. So with that, I respectfully request that the board ratify the town manager's appointment of Mary as our next administrative assistant to support HR in the Town Clerk's Office.
Okay, Connor, did you want to add anything?
Just that, thank you so much to the HR department as well as to Norman for all the help in getting this through. We had quite a large pool of applicants, and we were so fortunate after 2 round of interviews that Mary was by far and away the best candidate that we could have asked for. And so we're really excited to have the chance to work with her, and as a department that's really focused on customer service and making sure that people feel welcome in town hall. I'm really excited to have her in the office.
I'm really excited to be here. Great, well, welcome. It was great to hear these glowing reviews and to read through your resume, and I think it's really a needed position. I know the town clerk's been busy with all this early voting we have with this new, and public records requests, and HR too in this job market. It's really very busy as well, so we're glad to have you aboard. Does anyone else have questions or comments?
I'm very glad you're here. I volunteer in the town clerk's office, and I feel like I'm working there full-time. The last couple of weeks, anyway. And just be ready to hit the ground running, because they got a lot for you to do.
Good.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to say that I think you're very fortunate to work in two departments that have really emerged as being really standout departments. And they're not the only two standout departments in town. I think that we do a really lovely job. But you'll be, sort of the face of Hopkinton when you're working in the town clerk's office. And that's a really big piece of what is important. And it's really wonderful to have a team in there that is really ready to receive people the right way, and provide the great customer service that people do appreciate. They absolutely do, and we appreciate it. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
And I just want to thank you for choosing our town. And it can be a crazy place at times, but you're in good company and with good people. So.
And keep the poaching going.
Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much, and we'll take the next person, and at the end, we'll do everything as a group. Okay, Elizabeth Rourke, Senior Accounting Manager. Good evening.
Liz, welcome.
Thank you.
Let me start off by reading an email that I wrote back on October 26, 2015. This was an afternoon leading to, I believe, a special town meeting here in Hopkinton. And the email reads, "I am so proud of your excellent effort certifying Hopkinton's free cash. Your sincere attentiveness, mindfulness, caring attitude, fine judgment, masterful presentation of numbers, brilliant and courageous thinking all came throughout this process. Your call on the depiction of 2014 free cash in DOR's proof was spectacular and could only have been made by a pro. And you did it with the most impressive ease and enlightened confidence. Although I was nervous at times, your inspiring optimism did carry the day. I thank you profoundly for your support, effort, and splendid accomplishment certifying Hopkinton's free cash as of July 1, 2015. This is an email that I addressed to Liz when we brought her in to fight what I thought could have been a catastrophic disaster for the town. We were struggling to certify our free cash, had gone through an annual town meeting, having not done so, and we're leading into a special town meeting without certified free cash. Liz came in and helped.
So how did this happen? She was working as a consultant for us at the time?
Yes.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yes, she came in as a consultant to help.
Because it looked like she was in North Reading at the time, yeah. Okay.
And that's my way of introducing Liz. Just in very, very, very summary form, she has been working as the finance director for the town of North Reading the last 11 years. Worked also for the city of Somerville for 10 years. Holds degrees she has a Bachelor's of Science in Business and Accounting, Master of Science in Accounting, MMA Suffolk University Certificate in Government Leadership and Management. She is a Massachusetts Certified Public Purchasing Officer. Also is a Certified Government Accountant and is also a candidate for Certified Public Accountant. We in the Commonwealth know her as a Munis expert. Her first work with us was helping us set up our payroll after we left a private contractor and brought it in-house. She is very competent, articulate, confident, and I am excited to present here tonight to the board as prospectively Hopkinton's next senior accounting manager, town accountant.
Well, welcome, and that was a glowing recommendation.
Wow.
From the town manager. And we can see your qualifications, you're well qualified to do the job, so we really are happy to have you here. Do other board members have questions or comments?
No, I'm just, I think that you saw us at a point of transition, and then apparently saw us brilliantly through that point of difficulty and transition, so we appreciate that. And you too are joining an amazing team, but we're obviously very delighted to have you, so welcome to Hopkinton.
Thank you. Just in time for budget season.
Yes, just in time.
You have an impeccable background, and thank you for choosing our town. We are happy to have you. We really need the great accounting skills that you have. We have a great accounting team, finance team that you have worked with, and we were definitely planning to work more closely with all the financial matters that we have. So looking forward to working with you. And definitely it's a very critical role with our budget and everything that goes on. So you'll probably hear us and talk to us more often than anyone. But looking forward to working with you, and I'm relieved to see such a wonderful candidate joining us, and with your great background. All the best and congratulations.
Thank you.
I've been an assessor, chairman of the Board of Assessors, and so we were part of the financial team years ago, and it is a top-notch financial team, and we are extremely happy to have you on board. I think you're going to fit in perfectly. Welcome to Hopkinton.
Thank you so much. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we can have all 5 new employees come up. We have to do a motion? Yeah. Okay, so make a motion to appoint.
I make a motion to appoint Akil Reed, custodian of Facilities Department, Alphonse Lombardi, heavy equipment operator, Stephen Proctor, heavy equipment operator, both for the DPW, and Mary Zenith. Okay, administrative assistant for human services in the town clerk's office, and Elizabeth Rourke, senior accounting manager.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Again, as everybody's coming up here, I really want to take this opportunity to thank the HR department for moving this heavy load. Yes. Thank you.
Two select board members on each side, I guess. All right, so you
Are we all supposed to smile?
This week we're not.
Sorry, I didn't know we were taking turns.
Great.
I got stuck back.
All right, everybody please smile. Excellent. Okay. I can
Thank you. New pictures. True story. I took pictures of the first communion of one of my kids, and she wasn't in the picture. I said, do it again. She does run down, I'm like, oh, everybody back up, here we go. Casey, always Casey. She's sweet. Oh, shit. Thanks very much. Thank you so much. Back when I was in Hawaii, remember? Yes. I was up at 2 in the morning. Yeah, it's all because of the park.
That's good. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's lovely, great. New hires here, okay, so the next.
If you would like, I'll make for a cheesecake for the board.
Oh, sure.
I think it's,
Thank you.
I don't know what day it is now. It's a Sunday, right?
I think so, yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah. Forgot the date, but
Yeah.
sometime in December, right?
Okay.
Thank you.
So Muriel had to step away to take a call, to do a call, and she may not be back, but she said to go ahead without her. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the and we said we do it at 7, and we're at 7, is the 2023 Boston Marathon Invitational Random Distribution. The board will distribute marathon invitational entries to qualified applicants for the 2023 Boston Marathon. And in our packet, let's see here. Okay, the town received 50 numbers from the BAA. Let's see, and then we invited town departments, boards, and committees to apply, as well as 501c3 nonprofits undertaking services, public service activities within the town of Hopkinton. So the applications received from town departments, we received a total of 22 entries. Let's see, so 6 town departments and 2 town committees have requested entries, and it says 2 of the applicants appear to be non-responsive, but the rest are responsive. Let's see. And so, actually, I don't know, well, I'm going to go through it all and then we'll ask our questions at the end. And then we received 35 registered nonprofit organizations who undertake public service activities in the town of Hopkinton, who applied for a total of 48 numbers because some groups requested 2 or more numbers. So this is more numbers than we have to give out, unfortunately. Okay, and so the suggestion from the town staff is, if the board agrees that there are 10 responsive town departments and 35 responsive organizations, it could first distribute 18 invitational entries to town departments as follows: 7 for the Hopkinton Police Department, 1 for the Fire Department, 1 for the Senior Center, 0 for the Public Library, 5 for the Marathon Committee, 1 for the Veteran Celebration Committee, 2 for the Hopkinton Public Schools, which would be for the robotics team and to the expanded arts opportunities, but the Desire to Inspire team did not qualify apparently. And then 1 to the Hopkinton Senior and Disabled Relief Tax Committee. And then the board may consider holding a random draw for the 32 remaining entries of 35 applicants who responded. So does anyone have any questions about the process at this point? Any select board members? I guess my question was, why were 2 town departments non-responsive, the library and the Desire to Inspire?
The consideration regarding the library was specifically twofold. One, that the library currently does not perform any services directly related to the marathon on Marathon Day.
Okay.
However, we do recognize that leading to the marathon, the library does publish and distribute marathon-related materials. But we felt that on its own did not rise to the level of qualifying them as performing a specific service on the day of the marathon.
Okay, but in past years, they did qualify. Did something change in their level?
In the past years, there was an anticipation that on race day, that some entities may be housed at the library.
I see.
This has not happened.
It's not happened. Okay, and for the Desire to Inspire program at the middle school?
Yes, we know very well the relationship between this program and the marathon. However, when we looked at the preparations leading to the 2023 Boston Marathon, we did not see this organization as featuring. And so what we did was to then suggest that 2 invitational entries be distributed to the schools, 1 to the high school and 1 to the middle school. This may allow the principal or the coordinator of these 2 programs to decide which organization could receive that entry. So the Desire to Inspire may still receive that entry depending on the decision by the organizer of both the Desire to Inspire team as well as the expanded arts opportunities. However, in speaking with the superintendent, she was leaning more towards the expanded arts opportunities.
Okay, so the schools would get 2 numbers and they could choose how to distribute?
Correct.
Okay, with that proposal. Did you have a question?
No, I just saw down here where the Friends of the Library have applied, so that's kind of one for the library, isn't it?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. In fact, if I may, through the chair, it's the Friends of the Library and the Library Foundation.
So 2 numbers, yeah.
Oh, they've asked for 2 numbers, we only have 32.
Right. Did you have any questions on that part, Shaidul? I have a couple more.
I'm just thinking, can we summarize what's different from last year's? Is it just different?
Yeah.
What is new add or?
Now, what's different in terms of applications that came in? We received more applications, and also, perhaps what's similar to last year is that we one more time have retrieved an invitational entry from a town department that is now available for the 501c3 organizations, and that invitational entry came from the police department.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then the other question I had about the organizations now is that last year we were told the food pantry was non-responsive because they didn't have a separate 501c3 number from Project Just Because. So did that change this year? Or?
Good question. In fact, what changed that was the decision that was made by the board. The board did agree that the food pantry could be considered under the same number as Project Just Because. That's how last year the numbers were distributed.
That's how we did last year,
Yes.
but this year we said they had to be 501c3.
Yes, and they are both presenting under the same number.
Under the same 501c3,
Yes.
but, okay, but in 2 separate
Yes.
entries. Okay. And then, let's see.
What's the, I've never seen this one before, the Hopkinton Country Club Charitable Organization?
Yes, good question again. When we received that application, the name also caught our attention. It's not necessarily a country club. They do non-profit work here in town. In fact, if you give me 1 second, let me go to the
I believe it's a
website.
separed entity from the country club itself.
Yes,
It's a separate entity.
They do a lot of charitable work.
Yes.
It's a separate 501c3.
I was wondering, on the proposed distribution, the public library has 0 within bracket. What does that mean?
Public library is a department 0. However, the Friends of the Library, if the board agrees, may get 1, and the Library Foundation may get another one. So there are 2 numbers that will go towards the library.
Thank you.
Okay. And then you guys verified that they all are 501c3, and then, and everyone applying, and you verified that everyone applying undertakes public service activities within the town of Hopkinton? Because some of these organizations I know, and I see them around town all the time, others I'm not familiar with, but you verified that?
Yes, we did. In fact, one that stands out, you may see organizations that do work nationally. We did verify that their effort, as far as the fundraising is concerned and the application of the funds raised, will be focusing on Hopkinton.
Live in Hopkinton, okay. Okay, and then I'm noting that some organizations are also getting numbers outside of this Hopkinton process. The Respite Center is getting numbers from Delhi EMC and from Cross Point. Dignity Matters gets 1 entry from Newton, and the National Brain Tumor Society is getting 2 from John Hancock. So I'm just pointing that out to the public, because that's what makes me uncomfortable with the random distribution, that some people already have a number and others are not going to get one. But, okay. All right, so then, do you want to talk, does anyone have any other questions before we go over the process? Okay, so you've come up with a random distribution process, right?
Yes, and there are 2 options that the board could consider. The first option could be acknowledging that there are 32 numbers and 35 applying organizations, the board may decide to eliminate 3 out of those 32 right off the bat and then distribute 1 each to the remaining 32. The other option is to do the reverse. The board will select 32 times from the bin where the numbers are. I'm looking, right in front of me. Yeah, may choose. Therefore, the option is: does the board want to do this 32 times, or does the board want to eliminate the 3 by random distribution?
So we could choose 3 numbers out of the bin, which would be the losers, or we could choose 32 numbers that would be the winners. So, do you have a preference?
But like you said, some organizations are already getting, like the Listener Center is getting 2.
Well, they're getting 15 from McDowell and 10 from Crosspoint, so they're getting
a lot.
Yeah.
So,
but we said we would do it randomly, so there we are. Okay.
I'm fine either way, but it's
we
just hard.
give everybody one last year that
could accommodate, but I assume there's no other way to accommodate, right?
Yeah.
Through the chair, I'm looking that way to see if any one of the chiefs or both chiefs would like to be the ones putting their hands, picking up the numbers, if the board is inclined to do so.
Okay. So, what do you ask? What are you asking?
Board members can be the ones picking up the numbers, or the board may ask the 2 chiefs to do that.
Okay, so we're picking the losers then, the 3 losers from the hat? Okay.
That's more efficient, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I don't agree with the process, so I don't want to do it myself, but if you would like to choose the numbers, or if you would like the fire police chief to do it, that's fine.
Well, there's 3, and there's 3 of us, so I think we all have to pick a number.
Okay.
I want to read this. Hopkinton Women's Club. Very sorry.
There you go.
HPTO, very sorry, and let's try again next year.
And like I said, I'm not comfortable with this process, so if Norma would like to draw the last number, or fire chief.
I'm not comfortable with the PTO.
Hopkinton Freedom Team.
Okay. All right, thank you.
That was one I didn't want to say.
Okay, so now I think we need a motion to award 18 numbers to the town departments, as listed in the agenda, and then 32 to the organizations who applied except for the Freedom Team, the PTO, and the Women's Club. Does someone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I move, so moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I oppose. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is annual town meeting potential articles. Let's see, so it looks like the town manager has...
The motion.
Yep, or it did the departments and then the 32. Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay, and so for the general bylaws, you had some suggestions. Do you want to go over those briefly?
Yes, we can do that. This is the time of the year where we are soliciting ideas from the board regarding potential or prospective annual town meeting articles. And what we anticipate is that the list may have more than one article. That's why today we are suggesting that the board perhaps consider the draft short-term rental bylaw.
Sorry, the what?
The short-term rental bylaw. This is a bylaw that has come to our attention because of
Airbnb and services like that?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, and this is a general, not a zoning bylaw, so it would be allowed in all zones, right, but just to these restrictions. So, it's complicated, and so, is this modeled on how some other towns do this process?
If I may, residents brought this to the zoning advisory committee. They determined it shouldn't be a zoning bylaw and referred it as a general bylaw. And so, reviewed a number of bylaws from other towns, and there are lots of different ways to regulate it, and so it was decided that perhaps a licensing procedure through the select board might be a way to use.
Okay.
So that's what the bylaw would do.
All right, and so the highlights are, let's see. So they have to obtain a license from the town. Short-term rentals would be owner-occupied, tenant-occupied, or not limited to a dwelling unit, could be single-family, condo, or apartment. They have to be cannot have any outstanding violations or non-compliance with the building code. That sounds good. They'll have to have a manager who is on call to respond to problems should there anything arise. So within 30 minutes, within 2 hours, right? Within 30 minutes in an emergency. Okay. Have to have sufficient off-street parking. Maximum occupancy is limited to 2 people per bedroom. No trash waste, no dumpster may be maintained on the property. May be subject to inspection by the Board of Health, Fire Department, or municipal inspections. The short-term rental does not run with the property, would be terminated on the sale of the property. And shall not be issued for any dwelling unit which is subject to zoning restrictions that prohibit short-term rental. So we have, or something like that?
We have affordable units
That are restricted.
and also accessory dwelling.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. And only rentals of minimum of 2 days, maximum of 30 days, less than 2 days not permitted. Can maintain the structure and property and exterior in good condition. Okay. And they would have to obtain the license annually. Okay, it's a long bylaw, but since I've never rented out my house, I don't really know all the ins and outs of it. So I guess myself, I'm okay with keeping this in, and maybe we will will we have a hearing on it or something that people could, maybe people that do operate the Airbnbs would like to comment.
Can I also go to town council for review as well?
Does anyone else have questions or comments about the short-term rental? Okay. All right, and then the next one is, is that it, just the short-term rental? Is that the?
Yeah, that's the only one we have so far, and we are inviting the board members to suggest any other bylaws that we could bring forward.
Okay. So one that I had a suggestion about, I heard recently that the leash law in Hopkinton only extends until 8 p.m. and it's not a 24-hour leash law. So I was curious why that was and if we might want to consider having it be a 24-hour leash law. And I don't know if others agree, or maybe there's a reason we don't have it 24 hours. I don't know.
It was adopted in the early 90s, but I don't know.
Okay. Would you guys be okay with having them explore changing it
24-hour,
from 24-hour leash?
I've had dogs, and I love my dogs, but I think they should be walked.
Okay. Is it okay with moving forward that, we can always...
Okay, we can always explore it.
We can always change it later, yeah. Okay. And then, I think that was the only one that came to my mind. Do you have any suggestions for other general bylaw changes this year?
No, on this one, I want to say, if people have a fenced-in property where their dogs can't get out to roam, I would consider that part of the leash law. I think your dog has to be contained.
So they could be let out at night, but not...
Yeah, but
as long as they're on your
contained.
property, yeah.
At all times outside.
With a fence or invisible fence or something, yeah. That makes sense
That
to
makes
me.
sense?
Makes sense. Yeah.
All right, any other bylaw suggestions? No?
Yeah, again, the pitch is, this is the time for the board now to start thinking of any, so today is not the last chance.
Okay.
If you think of anything else, let us know.
Okay, and if we think of anything else, I think we should feel free to email town staff so they can look into it before the next meeting.
Good idea. I think that's a good idea. I wasn't aware, so I think it helps, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about if we had any suggested potential articles for town meeting. So we went over the one Norman presented, and I suggested extending the leash law from ending at 8 PM to being a 24-hour leash law. If you had any other suggestions that you'd like to know to research.
I don't at this time, thank you. No.
Okay. Okay, so we're done with potential town meeting articles. Okay, and then select board goals. So we fine-tuned those all last week, so I was thinking we should just kind of finalize, affirm, and publish those tonight.
Right.
Do we have is it, oh, here it is, sorry, it is in the agenda. Yeah, okay. So we changed the title of the mental health one to mental wellness as a fundamental human right. Is everyone comfortable with that title change? Because that wasn't totally finalized last time. Okay, then has everyone had a chance to look through and they seem to be what we discussed last week? Okay, so maybe we can make a motion to finalize and publish our FY23 goals?
So move.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. All right, any opposed or abstaining? Okay, and then town manager report. All right.
Through the chair, Main Street Corridor project, in your meeting packet, I included the memo that I sent, or the letter that I sent to Mass DOT dated October 27th, 2022, advising Mass DOT of the town's request that there be changes to the design, specifically with regard to the width of the right-of-way. I can inform the board that a day after we sent this letter, October 28th, we received an email from Mass DOT saying that they will fund the cost of the adjustments on the southerly side. However, we'll continue our discussions with Mass DOT regarding what happens on the northerly side.
Okay, so that's something, that's good.
Yeah.
And I think people will be relieved to have that little bit of extra width in those tight spaces, yeah. And I saw they were doing more work on the sidewalks this week, which looks great.
Sidewalks are looking good, a lot of them.
Yep, not done, but looking good so far.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
At the risk of complicating things, but hopefully not. I know that we're talking about a couple more feet of width. Is there any way that we can get a waiver on the width of the bike lane so that we're not taking all of that additional 2 feet out of properties?
We, as part of engineering and designing the project, we looked at different options back then. However, the answer to your question is there's always a possibility to get waivers. However, we went past that during the design phase. In this case, what we've been discussing specifically is to retain the rest of the aspects or the elements of the project and simply focus on if there are opportunities to widen the right-of-way without taking away from the sidewalk and the bike lanes. However, what I've heard from Dave is that there may be instances where we may take a few inches from the sidewalk.
Yeah, I just think, I guess I would appreciate consideration of sort of the town giving a little bit on that space so that we might protect some of the property owners that have already been impacted. I guess I would very much appreciate knowing that we looked hard at alternatives that protected homeowners and property owners along that stretch that needs to be widened.
Yeah, I would say this change will not impact any private property.
Okay.
Yes, just to be clear, this, I keep looking, thinking Dave is in the room.
But the width has been taken from somewhere else, not from the...
From within the right-of-way.
Within the right-of-way.
Yes. You know how we have separations between the cabin and the sidewalk, and between the sidewalk and the bike lanes. That's where that is coming from.
So-
we're not encroaching on any private property. That's, we
So I
make it
know
very
it's
clear.
the right-of-way, like that right-of-way, we've come up on a bunch of those properties in the right-of-way. Will any of that extend further into I understand it's the right way, but it, for, centuries has been their front lawn. So will we be going deeper into property owners' front lawn?
No.
Thank you.
No, the road has been laid out.
Okay.
Was taking that layout.
Okay.
All the adjustments are within the
That was
layout.
really the substance of my question, was that we are going to find a solution within the already disturbed portion of the project.
Correct.
Frontage.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Through the chair, I had a similar question, so I think Muriel, you covered one item I wanted to also check. That's good to know. Now, do we know if there is any financial or timeline impact because of this change? Or proposed change?
Yes, in terms of finances, as I said, already the southerly portion will be covered by Mass DOT. We are still discussing the northerly a portion of the right-of-way. We do not intend, as part of this process, to increase the cost of the project.
And I think he asked about the
So any-
timeline too. Will it extend the?
Yeah, in terms of the timeline,
Yeah.
the reason why we were moving so quickly in our discussions with Mass DOT was to literally respect the timeline that we had agreed to. And so, as far as the southerly side is concerned, no impact on the timeline. As far as what could be done on the northerly side, we have not fully scoped that out. We will let the board know if that extends the timeline of the project.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And one last item I had was, what did we learn from this, and how can we avoid any such in other parts of the project?
If we're gonna have it.
That's a good question. Here's what we learned. That at times when you have standards and meet standards, you always have to pursue opportunities to go above and beyond the standards. So,
Even though it met minimum standards when we
it
saw it
does
on the
meet minimum
ground.
standards, but we realized, in fact, Dave he immediately jumped on this because of the current setup in the construction zones where you have poles, you still have other big barriers along the road. He immediately realized that with those in place, there were challenges. And so we began working jointly with our public safety teams, conducted the test as was described to the board before, and now we've gone to Mass DOT and pleaded our case. Usually, in fact, I'll tell you, when we met with Mass DOT last week, the first response from Mass DOT was, a contract is a contract. There's a contract in place. If you want to change the contract, you are on your own. However, through the meeting, everybody realized that this was the right thing to do. And I'm very grateful that Mass DOT came forth and said they will fund the adjustments on the southerly side.
Okay. I feel like I had another question about the Main Street corridor, unrelated. This is the only item on your town manager's report, is the Main Street project, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so this is about the Main Street project, but not about that part. I did want to just say out loud that we pointed this out to one business owner this week, and it may or may not be helpful, but we approved zoning, lessening of the zoning bylaws for signs for downtown businesses affected by the construction, and we did that a couple years ago at town meeting, and people may have forgotten, but if business owners want to put out a sign saying, use my side entrance, or there's extra parking over here, if you can't park in your regular spot, they can feel free to put out those extra signs as long as they meet those size requirements and the distance requirements from the business, I believe. And so anyway, they should feel free to approach the zoning enforcement officer with questions about that, in case people did not know. Okay, I think I didn't have any. Does anyone else have questions about the town manager's report?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, and then next is liaison reports and board invites. So I should say, Irfan thought he might join, but I don't think he did. He sent a liaison report from the Upper Charles Trail Committee, and I think Mr. Kamalo sent that out via email. I thought I had it open on my screen, but I'm not sure I did. I was just going to read that into the record. Let's see. Oh, I know he sent it to me. Where did I put it? liaison report. Irfan is traveling today. He wasn't sure if he'd be able to make the meeting. But he said that he attended the Upper Trails Trail Committee meeting on October 19th, and he said a large part of the public forum focused on the October 18th Select Board meeting, and the UCTC committee had questioned if the Select Board had ordered the UCTC to stop their work, and he clarified that they were comments at the Select Board meeting just about from the public, not from the Select Board. The Select Board had not taken any action relative to the comments. The discussion continued relative to the engineering study for Section 6. A representative from VHB clarified that the engineering study would not be focused on any particular route, but would instead focus on survey work to determine impediments such as wetland crossings, grades, required easements, etc. for Segment 6, but other routes would be included when doing the engineering study. The engineering study would look at the whole area in order to determine variable routes. The UCTC also voted to request $48,000 from CPC for engineering on Segment 1. I think that's toward the Ashland side of the project. And heard an update relative to the westernmost portion of the trail and requested that the UCTC allow Peter Lagori to work on options from the Milford parking lot to Hopkinton. So did anyone have any additional questions from Irfan's report that we would send back to him as liaison, or do we think we need to invite the Upper Trails Trail Committee to our next meeting or a future meeting?
I think it would be good to hear from them if we can invite them.
Okay.
I mean, this is helpful. Thank you, Irfan.
Yeah, I actually attended the meeting as well, so I'm all set. I always appreciate when boards and committees are open and responsive to the public's feedback, so I continue to have that position, and I hope that we're all sort of working to make this trail something that we can all support and be proud of.
Yeah. So would we like, the Upper Trails Trail Committee came before us, I think, over the summer. Would we like to ask them to come back again soon in light of this, or do we feel comfortable?
I feel comfortable. They were here over the summer, so I'd like to give them a little more time to go forward to, it's just the beginning of November. So, I mean, if they came the first of the year, that would be okay with me. January sometime.
So I think the concern from some members of the public is that this Section 6 is kind of moot if we're still working on where's the Elmwood solution going to be, and I think they determined that the route along Hayden Row wouldn't work because of the right-of-way is the right-of-way is not clear to widen it. Is that correct? Or maybe we better ask them.
Yes, I think, as has happened previously, the board should invite the Upper Charles Trail Committee to continue to give regular updates, not just to the board but to the community as a whole. I understand there may be misconceptions regarding the report to the Upper Charles Trail Committee by Dave Del Torio relative to the width of Hayden Road. In terms of the questions that have been raised regarding Phase 6, my understanding is threefold. That currently all that the committee is doing is to fulfill their charge of completing a feasibility of the trail. They're not going beyond that. The second piece is what I've seen over the years, especially when we were planning and designing the marathon school, that there was other interests expressed relative to uses that could be around the school. There was an extensive discussion regarding the driveway leading into the school. And what we ran into was the limitation that the building committee was charged with putting together a plan for the school and not for these other uses. And thus, the work that is being done currently by the Upper Charles Trail Committee will mitigate that likelihood, i.e., if there are other, if there is an interest in having a trail around that area, we will have the information already prepared and shared together at the same time as the Elmwood School Building Committee is doing its work.
Okay, so there could be value in the work even if we're not going with segment 6 as what was presented earlier.
Yes, what I'm suggesting is the information regarding other uses that might be relevant for the discussion alongside the discussion of building a school in that location will be available through this process.
Okay.
And then the third reason, which I always pitch, is that all neighborhoods deserve trails.
Yeah.
If this trail does not end up being part of the Upper Charles Trail Committee, guess what? That neighborhood that is intensely built will now have a trail.
Okay, so the work can still be valuable, or have other uses if they're not going forward with segment 6. Okay. So Mary Jo was suggesting maybe in January, then we would ask them to come back and give us an update?
Give them a little time to move forward a little bit.
I think, yeah, time-wise, I think now through January is fine. I just want to give an opportunity to the committee and also to the residents to hear from the committee. Not that I have tons of questions, but it's more to understand and make sure the communication flows in and people are aware, they are also getting feedback. It's always healthy to have that, and I think this type of efforts.
And I think we were copied on some emails about requesting public records of all the comments and feedback and survey results that the Upper Charles Trail Committee has received so far. So hopefully that will get put together and can be published for the public to see, and I think that would help as well.
Yes, for the most part, the information that was readily available is now online. Dave and Michelle are now compiling into one document the emails that came in and the responses that were provided.
Perfect, okay. So that's on the Upper Charles Trail Committee website? Okay, so we can all look for that. We can also all individually attend those meetings or watch on TV if we want.
Yeah, so I just, if I could, I just want to make sure that I'm really crystal clear. I think that that the public expects there to be options, and I think the select board expects there to be options.
Yes.
And I'm just going to sort of paint the elephant that's in the room. People are worried that the committee is going to charge forth with an option that is unattractive to the public, at least as much as we know now, without the appropriate opportunity to pause and make sure we decide what the community fully supports, particularly in terms of the trail going straight through the center of town. So we want to make sure that, I want to make sure that I'm really crystal clear before people get surprised. I'm expecting to see options, and I'm expecting to see that we are being responsive to the concerns of all constituency groups.
I think that's very well stated, yes.
Very well stated, and in fact, I think we also had, the last time the chair of the Upper Charles Trail Committee came before the select board, they did lay out the process, focusing on engaging the public on these options. They are still going through that process, and I think as discussed, perhaps January will be an ideal time for them to come back and update the community and the board.
Yeah. I think the public doesn't feel like they've been engaged yet, is my sense.
So we did, just to be clear too, we did hear at that meeting that only 3 people, for example, only 3 people came to the select board with comments and concerns out of 20,000 people. And we've heard language like that before about big initiatives, and it makes the public feel that that they're not being heard and listened to. And I'm just saying that that's the energy that I am picking up and hearing. So we need to make sure that people know that we are going to be responsive to what the town in broadly really wants. Everybody supports the Upper Charles Trail, but we want to make sure that as it gets put together, all of it is supported enthusiastically by the town.
Interestingly, Elaine, you may help me with the names. The Upper Charles Trail Committee has identified at least 2 or 3 members that are working expressly on that aspect of this work. And one of the members is the recently joined member who was appointed based on his expertise in...
Yep, and he's doing, by the way, a beautiful job. I've only watched him in action at one meeting, but really a value add, so that's wonderful.
Okay, so we'll look for them to come back in January, and we will all go on their website and read all those documents, right? Okay, any other liaison assignments? I think there are reports.
Yeah, just quickly on ESBC side, they had a public forum for vision forming on the 25th, when Norman and I was there. It was a fantastic event, well attended, and we thought it's moving well. They have another event this Saturday on the 5th, 9 to 12, for vision group kickoff.
Okay, great. Do they have one tomorrow too, at the same time as our all-hands meeting?
Yes, there's one more.
Okay. And they, I believe, are all on HCAM, so you can watch them if you can't go in person, or watch them later.
If I could, through you, Madam Chair, the Veteran Celebration Committee obviously will be hard at work.
Oh, yes.
Next week on Veterans Day, thanks to, certainly thanks to the committee, but thank you to all the veterans that we're fortunate enough to have here in town, but also those that have served and that we've lost and so forth. So the festivities during the day are at the Senior Center. Of course, the formal services are at 11:11 on 11:11, so it's hard to forget, but I would get there a little bit before that. So 11 o'clock in the morning, and then the committee throws a really wonderful event, a dinner for veterans. All veterans are welcome and invited to attend, and it's a lovely meal. I think they send people home with, if it's available, with leftovers, and it's a lovely way to recognize and celebrate our town's veterans. So.
And that's in the evening at the Rod and Gun?
Yes, you know what, it's always at the Rod and Gun, so I hope I'm correct about that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, it's always at the Rod and Gun, but it's like, that detail was, but certainly easy enough to find out if you're interested in going and you haven't heard about it. And then the other thing I wanted to say is I went to the CPC meeting. They have a vibrant, robust list of projects that they're contemplating. Yeah. And you know, happily for the town, I think this is something. I think now that the CPC fund has been in place for a long time in Hopkinton, it really has turned out to be a really valuable way for us to, a little bit at a time, invest in our ability to continue to invest in our town in really interesting and wonderful ways. So look for more details coming out on that, but a lot of projects in front of them. And I do think the Upper Charles Trail Committee did not go forward with their request, but I could be speaking out of turn.
Oh,
at
for
this
segment
time.
one, okay.
Yeah, at this time.
Okay.
Thank you, Maria. And again, I just want to resonate the same, that proud to have so many veterans in our town, and looking forward to the event. I'm actually taking a red eye to come back that morning.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
okay.
And looking forward to it, my wife and son.
Yeah, I always like Veterans Day. The hard part about it, when, for our state representatives and our state
They have one in every town at the same time?
is that every town is 11-11-11, so they can't all be in every town at the same time, because I know I used to fill in for Dave Vignani a lot. So just keep it in mind, they make the rounds eventually. So everybody's on their mind. They just can't always be physically in the same place.
A quick question, Muriel, do we know when the CPC list will be available or published?
So I have it, because I'm the liaison, I'm happy to send it to you. It's public record, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's online, but it should be.
Yeah, it should be.
Oh, it's in their packet, maybe?
It is usually online, you're right?
Yeah, I'll check tomorrow to see if it's on
Yeah,
there.
it should be available. It was discussed at the meeting, and it's been forwarded to me, so
Okay.
Yeah, no,
And
I can't imagine it's not.
they're very well organized, I think, documents.
And
so check it
they're not always necessarily final now, they go through and meet with each
Oh,
one
no,
and
this
decide.
is the
wish
beginning.
list.
This is the beginning of the process, and it's a very busy, kudos to the committee. It's a very busy piece of work in this part of the budget season. So, yeah, if there are, certainly if there are projects that are of interest to you, I recommend that you go to the meetings and hear the discussion.
Yeah, I don't have anything to report tonight, but I have 3 3 or 4 meetings coming up this month. MWRTA is having a breakfast meeting, and the Affordable Green Committee is Monday night. I'm going to that one, and I have an assessors board meeting coming up. So it's going to be a busy November. So that's all. I'll have reports next meeting.
All right, I had a couple things to note that I think we haven't come across yet. So I just wanted to note for the public that the select board members' phone numbers were printed incorrectly accidentally in the Women's Club directory that was mailed out this week. So I worked with the Women's Club. They're going to send a correction to the Hopkinton Independent. So hopefully, and you can also Google our phone numbers, I think. So hopefully that will catch everyone. But
I think people can always reach us through town hall.
yeah, I guess you could call the town manager's office and get the correct phone number. Yeah. I wanted to congratulate the HCA on their Wicked Weekend. I drove by a couple times and just looked like an amazing success. Lots of crowds, it looked like a lot of fun, a lot of good work. I think that was a great weekend.
It was wonderful, yeah. We joined it actively and it was a blast. It was well organized. There were a lot of kids dancing and a lot of...
Yeah, that looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of candy and sugar, of course, but it was really well organized. I think well attended, 500 to maybe 1,000.
Yeah, it looked huge, yeah.
Huge. So thanks to HCA and all the participating groups. It was wonderful.
Yeah. And then I was going to note, the school committee did a big presentation on capital project last week, so all of us may want to watch that meeting or look at the packet to get ready for the budget season. And they're going to be doing their individual budgets, I think, every week at their meeting. So we can either watch that or look at their packets. And it'll all come together in the end, but if we want to look, we can do that. Let's see, and so then maybe I did get through most of my other things here. I believe we were invited to the Middle School Hiller Block 5K on Wednesday, November 16th at 1 p.m. So that's during the workday. I'm not sure if I can go, but I'll try if I can. But I think we're all invited, but we have to let them know. For the budget advisory group, I know Shadul's been traveling some, so I was going to say if you ever can't make it, just let me know and I'll try to go as the alternate or something. And then, and I'm going to try to meet with the Woo Sox representative because they had offered to do a special Hopkinton Day for the Woo Sox, but I'm still trying to get that scheduled. Okay, so I think we're covered liaison reports.
And what about the Hoyt race? The Hoyt is at 5K. I know I got the information on it.
Oh, I missed that.
What's the date that's supposed to run?
It's still in the planning stages.
Okay.
Investigating its feasibility. As soon as everything is firmed up, we'll let the board know.
Okay. All right, and then, so that's liaison reports, and the next future agenda items. The only one I had was, and I can't remember if I mentioned it last time, I didn't cross it out. I wondered if we should develop a policy, and when we publish comments and surveys, and whether we may need to redact material if people say things that's, not that we want to restrict their public speech, but if they say something, a personal attack or profanity, that we might redact that sort of comment from survey comments that we would normally publish. So I didn't know if we want, so potential policy discussion in the future.
Okay.
Okay, any other future agenda items? No? Okay, well, we may be ready. Tomorrow night is our all-hands meeting, so.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Okay.
Thank you.